My opponent wants to give me scholar's mate again, but I'm not going to let him. I'm already able to defend here. I just play g6 and all good. Okay, queen f3, you had to retreat your queen. Well, I just develop my pieces and I'm totally okay. What? Scholar's mate again. I think this is unstoppable. I'm gonna quit chess. Hey guys, welcome to a new video. Today we're going to talk about how to refute early queen attacks. Early queen attacks can be intimidating, but with the right knowledge and strategies, you'll be able to defend your position and gain an advantage. In this video, I'll give you tips to deal with early queen attacks, and also I'll show you how to refute scholar's mate. So that will be two sections. In the first section, I give you 3 tips so you know how to deal with any early queen attack in your games. And in the second section, we are going to move to the board and we're going to use all those tips to refute this aggressive and I know also annoying for beginners scholar's mate. So let's dive in. But first, if you're new to the channel, I am FIDE Master Michel. I create beginner-friendly chess tutorials. I post videos frequently, at least once per week. So feel free to subscribe and enjoy the channel. Now back to the content. I'm going to give you 3 general tips that are going to help you and guide you in any position where your opponent is being very aggressive, is bringing his queen out, it's an early attack. So you need to know how to deal with that. You need the right mentality to deal with that situation. So these tips are going to be really important for those situations. So tip number 1 is going to be defend by developing as much as possible. So when the queen comes out, there will be threats and you need to defend against those threats. Usually there will be ways to defend by not developing and way to defend by developing. So try to find the ways where you're actually developing so you don't waste time in your opening and you can put your pieces to play as quickly as possible. The second tip is going to be watch out for the enemy queen. The queen is the most powerful piece on the board. So whenever it goes out, it is going to control many squares. It's going to control many important points. It's going to look at your weaknesses. So it's going to create threats. It's dangerous. It's aggressive. So you should not assume immediately when he brings the queen that he's lost, that you're better, and with any move you're going to be okay. That is not going to happen. Usually you will have 1 or 2 good ideas, 2 good ways to refute his move, but do not assume that with any move you're going to be fine. Keep in mind that his most aggressive piece is out and is attacking and is creating threats. So that's the second tip. Watch out for the enemy queen. Tip number 3, don't panic and stay calm and focused. So once the queen is out, it's very easy to lose the concentration, to panic a little and think that we need to play defensively and too carefully and things like that. So the idea is that if you stay calm and you stay focused, you might find good refutations. For example, like counter attacks, moves that are defending but at the same time are attacking, or moves that are not even defending because you create another threat even better. But this kind of moves, you can only find them if you are really focused. If you stay calm, so you know, do not panic, so you can find good moves and good refutations in those moments. Remember, these are tips that you can use in any situation where your opponent is creating an early attack, is being aggressive, is bringing the queen out, exposing the queen, but also creating threats. Well, in those situations, you can defend by developing, you can watch out for the enemy queen because it's really dangerous, and also do not panic. If you do that, usually you will find a way to refute the early queen attack. And that's something we're going to do now. We are going to use all this knowledge to refute the scholar's mate. The problem here is that after e4 we play e5 and then our opponent plays this queen h5, right? This is what they call wayward attack, and it creates some threats that if you're not familiar or if you're new in chess, well, probably it's going to be annoying. Before we continue with the threats this queen h5 creates, let me tell you that in some positions the early queen attacks are not going to be run. So for example, there is this line that we call Scotch game where white plays knight f3, we play knight c6, and then they play d4. In this position, if you capture, they capture back, we capture, and they capture back. Anyone could say, well, the queen is in the middle, all good for black, we are fine. But well, nothing farther from reality. Actually, this position, white is totally okay, white is much better. And let me tell you why. Here, the queen is exposed, but it's not a target, right? The queen is in the middle of the board, but you cannot attack it. You cannot develop one piece. For example, you don't have knight c6. Develop, get a tempo, improve your pieces. So the queen is not really a problem for him. The queen is a problem for us. Because, for example, now the queen is attacking this square at g7. You cannot develop the bishop. So actually the queen is hindering you from developing. So this is a problem for black. You don't really have a good way to take advantage of the queen in the center. That's why in a cash game, after knight takes d4, we don't capture there. Bringing the queen out for white is not really going to be a good plan in this position for black. And here we just play something normal like knight f6. And that's the reason. So that's one example, but also I wanted to show you another position, and it is this line that we call a Ponciani. So e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, and sometimes white plays here c3. That's Ponciani. It's a very interesting and tricky opening, and against Ponciani, one of the best moves for black is going to be d5. The reason is that after pawn takes pawn, you can play queen takes pawn. This time, white cannot play knight c3. They cannot develop, improve, and attack the queen at the same time. That's the reason why this queen in the center is actually totally okay. And we can say that black is actually fine in this position. So those are two examples where the queen is in the center. It looks like a little exposed, but well, not really. It's not a real target. So in those positions, the queen, as it is so powerful, it controls so many squares, it's going to be fine in the center. Of course, these are some exceptions, we can say, but it's worth understanding that. So, wayward attack. White plays this. They are attacking the pawn on e5, and they want to do scholar's mate in the next moves. Typical mistakes here. We play g6, and then boom, queen takes e5, fork. Maybe we block over here. They take the rook, and we are lost. That's a very common mistake in this position. Other mistakes that black can play sometimes. For example, d6, bishop c4. And we don't know scholar's mate, or maybe we know they want to give us mate, but we just don't know how to defend, and we just play knight f6. Of course, this is a blunder. There is queen takes f7, and we are lost. Or maybe we say, well, I know he wants to give me mate, I just play g6, then he has to retreat the queen. All good here. I continue my developments. I just play here bishop to g7, and then boom, scholar's mate again. So those are some typical mistakes in these positions. The question, how do we deal with this? Well, I have seen some players that just to avoid scholar's mate, they just don't play e5, right? They just play, for example, French defense with e6, d5, and they don't need to worry about the scholar's mate. Or they just play Caro-Kann after bishop c4, d5, and they don't need to worry about scholar's mate. And, well, of course, this is not a very good idea. I mean, French defense and Caro-Kann defense are very good lines, very good openings, but if you're just playing those lines to avoid the scholar's mate, then you're doing something wrong, because the scholar's mate is actually a bad thing. It's something that we can refute. If you understand the ideas I'm going to say now, it's actually pretty simple. So instead of just avoiding it, the right mindset, I could say, is get into it and learn how to refute it. Use it as an opportunity to continue learning, improving in your chess journey. So e4, e5, queen to h5. Here the right move for black is going to be knight to c6. And this is tip number one. Remember I said defend by developing. Here we can defend with other moves, but probably this is the best, right? You're developing your knight and you are defending. Here usually they will play bishop c4, and they want to give us checkmate here on f7. So what do we do? Well, the best move is going to be g6. This is actually correct. You're getting a tempo. In some way you are also developing, right? Because the bishop is coming to g7. You will have a fianchetto over there. Your bishop is going to be there. Your king is going to be totally safe once you castle kingside. What's going to happen now? Well, usually white is going to play queen f3, right? They want to give you mate again on f7. So what do? Well, we defend by developing. And also we need to talk about tip number 2 here. The queen is moving, and as the queen moves, it changes the perspectives, it changes the angles, and there are new threats. So this is what we were saying. Watch out for the queen. Wherever it goes, it will control many squares, and it will create many threats. Do not assume that you are just better, right? You're better if you find the good moves. You're better if you find the threats that your opponent is creating, and you know how to react against those threats. So here we use tip number 1. He's attacking here. We defend by developing. Here we can play knight f6, and the position is totally okay. Once you get this point, your opponent can still try some other tricky ideas that we're going to mention. I guess the main line is going to be something like queen b3, attacking f7. We're going to learn how to deal with that very soon. But also let me show you this trick. They can play g4 here. The main point is that, well, if we play something normal like bishop g7, they play g5, and if we just move the knight, right, that's the idea, make our knight go away. Now they can give us mate on f7, right? So that's the plan with this g4. It's a little aggressive, but if we use tip number 3, like stay calm and focused so you can react against these aggressive moves, you will be able to find good counterattacks, good refutation ideas. So here we can play this move, knight to d4. Again, we are taking advantage of the queen exposed as we are improving our pieces. We are attacking the queen, but also we are attacking c2 here. This position is actually very good already for black. They can try something like queen d1, right? They keep the pawn defended, they defend the queen, and also they defend c2. But here we have a really nice move. Boom, pawn to d5. The idea is that you discover and you want to capture the pawn on g4 with your bishop. They might try something like this. Let me show you this nice line. You can play bishop takes g4. Of course, you're attacking the queen. If they play something normal like developing, well, you have mate in 2 here. I'm going to say it. You can play here knight f3 check, king f1, and then bishop to h3. That is checkmate. So knight e2 is not going to work. They might try, for example, f3. But again, we have a really nice refutation for this position. You can play the amazing knight to e4. Self-forking our minor pieces. How's that good? Well, not really. He's not taking the knight, so this is not a real fork because there's a pin. And secondly, he can take the bishop, but he's going to receive mate in 2. So if he plays this, we play that, and if he plays this, we play that. Queen f2, and this is checkmate. So you know, these are some ideas to deal with this g4, which is not really as strong as it looks. Well, another way to play here is something normal like knight e2, right? Just developing and preventing our knight d4. If that happens, well, just develop your pieces, right? Just play bishop g7 here. They can play d3, you castle. They can do the same thing. And again, we have a really nice move, a really nice break here. You can play d5. He has more attackers than we have defenders here. But the key is that we have some bishop g4 in between. The queen has to move, and then we will get rid of one of the attackers. So that's why this 5 is totally playable, and it's going to work really well. In this position, they might play, for example, pawn takes pawn, and you can play bishop here. And if they move the queen, well, then you just take the pawn on d5. And this position, of course, is much better for black. So, you know, if he plays normal development, you do the same thing, and you're just better, right? You have more pieces out, you have better development, so you will be able to find good continuations. You're in a better position. That's how we deal with this knight e2, but especially don't forget these ideas with d5 because they can be really strong at some point. And finally, let's deal with this queen b3 because it looks very annoying, but one more time, it's not really a big deal. We stay calm, we focus, and we will find good refutations. Something normal here, something really simple to deal with this queen b3. Just play queen e7, all good. We are better, right? We are defending, and we have other ideas like, I don't know, knight here, or knight here, at some point knight here, or just normal development, right? Bishop g7 and castle. So we are much better here, but let me tell you something. This is not the best move in the position. The best move in the position is actually going to be knight to d4. And the idea is that you're not really defending. You don't have to defend, is the key. Let me show you why. If they take your pawn with check, of course we have to move the king. King e7 is the only move. But now they have a problem. You're attacking the queen, and if the queen moves, you are able to capture his bishop. So the bishop is dependent on the queen. So wherever they move the queen, we're going to take that bishop, and we have an extra piece. They can try something like queen c4. Is the only square where the queen is still defending the bishop. But, well, of course, we're going to attack the queen again, and we will get the bishop. So we can just play here b5. Let's say, I don't know, queen d3. Observe, everything is controlled on the diagonal. So they play queen d3, and we just take the bishop. And this position, of course, is decisive advantage for black. If you found this video helpful, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more beginner-friendly chess tutorials. If you have any questions or suggestions, please leave them in the comments below. Keep improving your chess skills and enjoy the game. Play the right move. See you on the next.